You are lying fully clothed on a straw palliasse in a stone dormitory. The bell is ringing. It is somewhere around 2 in the morning. You know without looking, because this is the third time it has woken you since you lay down. The stone beneath the straw has not warmed. Your belt is still on, as the rule requires. You have 30 seconds to be standing in the cloister before the night office begins. You are 19 years old. You signed your name 8 months ago. You will sleep in this room, in this building, until the day you die here. Could you survive as a monk in a medieval monastery? Could you survive one day? Or would the silence, the cold, and the permanence of it break you before nightfall? The belt bites into your ribs as you sit up. You pull on your sandals by feel in the dark, because candles in the dormitory are prohibited. Around you, the other monks are moving. 12 of them, all obeying the same bell, all in the same dark. Nobody speaks. The rule of St. Benedict forbids speech in the dorter at all hours. You have not spoken to another person since Compline last night. You know already that you will not speak again until terce, if then. The cloister is 3 degrees colder than the dormitory. The stone flags are slick under your sandals. It is the middle of winter, somewhere in northern England. The year is around 1170, and Fountains Abbey has been standing in this valley for 40 years. The walls are limestone. The heat from 12 human bodies dissipates by the time you reach your stall in the choir. The candles burn upright in the still air. The chant begins. You are here for matins. It will take approximately an hour. Then lauds, which follows immediately. By the time you return to the dormitory, it will be past 4 in the morning, and the bell for prime will ring again before you have assembled anything that resembles real sleep. This is tonight. It is also last night. It will be tomorrow night. It has been every night since you made your vows, and it will be every night until you die. You signed your name. Let's talk about what that meant. The novitiate lasts a full year. During that year, the rule of St. Benedict is read aloud to you 3 times in its entirety. Not summarized, read, every word. The rule that governs when you wake, when you eat, when you work, when you pray, when you may speak, and in what tone. You are told plainly, 3 times, what you are agreeing to. Then, if you still wish to proceed, you stand before the assembled community and make 3 solemn vows. The first vow is obedience. You already understood that. The second vow is conversatio morum, a Latin phrase that roughly means the conversion of your manner of life, the ongoing reform of your habits, your desires, yourself. You accepted that too, more or less. The third vow is stability. Stability does not mean that you will remain a monk. It means that you will remain in this house, this specific building, these specific walls, Fountains Abbey, North Yorkshire, England. Not another monastery if this one becomes unbearable. Not a hermitage if you need solitude. Not home if your mother falls ill. Here. The vow of stability binds you to the place, not merely the life. The abbot can send you on business, to another house, to Rome, to negotiate a land dispute. But your home is this building until the moment your body is lowered into the ground of this precinct. You are 19. You have signed this. The door behind you has not merely closed. It has locked. What happens if you leave anyway? Under canon law, a monk who abandons his monastery after solemn profession is classified as an apostate, not a person who made a mistake. An apostate. The ecclesiastical machinery that follows that classification is serious. You cannot receive the sacraments. You cannot be buried in consecrated ground. Any bishop who receives you is obligated to send you back. The monastery will write to your family. Your family will be expected to return you. The medieval church and the medieval state are not separate things. The gatehouse arch is 20 feet behind you when you realize this. Not a door, a judgment. So you stay. You have, in fact, always been going to stay. The novice master was not hiding this information. You simply did not understand, at 16, what permanent means. You are at lauds now, in the dark, chanting the office. The cold has settled into your lower back. Begin to pay attention to that. It will matter later. Breakfast, on a winter morning at a Cistercian house, is not a given. On most winter weekdays you eat once. 1 meal per day, served at midday in the refectory. On Sundays and in summer, you eat twice. On fast days, and there are many fast days, you wait until none, mid-afternoon, before you eat anything. You have been awake since 2. The meal, when it comes, is bread, legumes, fish, and ale. No meat. Not ever, for healthy monks. The infirmary serves meat to the sick. You are healthy. You eat fish. The refectory is silent, not quiet. Silent. While you eat, A monk called the lector reads aloud from a raised pulpit above the tables. This week he is reading from the book of Job. You have heard this passage 4 times. You will hear it again. You cannot ask him to stop, because you cannot speak. You cannot ask for more bread, because you cannot speak. There is a sign for bread, a flat hand drawn slowly toward you, and a sign for water, and a sign for more fish, and a sign for the salt cellar, and there are over 300 signs in total that the monastery uses in place of speech. You learned them in your novice year. The sign for no is a gentle lateral movement of the right hand. You have used it twice already today. The monk across the table catches your eye and makes the sign for wine. You make the sign for no. He has been here for 11 years. You have been here for 1. You do not know if he has forgotten what wine tastes like, or if he simply no longer wants it. His face tells you nothing. The great silence runs from Compline each evening to Prime each morning. During that time, even the sign language is prohibited for non-essential communication. You may sign to alert someone to a practical necessity, a spilled vessel, a medical emergency, but you may not make the sign for friendship, or for remembrance, or for anything that resembles conversation. The loneliness of this is not immediately visible from outside the experience. From inside it, in the 3rd week, it is the weight you notice before the cold or the hunger. You are surrounded by men. You cannot reach any of them. They are 11 inches away across a refectory table, and they are, for all purposes that matter to a 19-year-old, completely unreachable. Speaking during the great silence means public penance before the entire community. You prostrate yourself on the floor of the chapter house before the assembled monks and confess the breach. The abbot determines your penance. He is not cruel. The rule specifically prohibits cruelty, but he is not lenient in proportion to your discomfort. You spoke because you needed to speak. That need is itself the thing the rule is trying to extinguish. After the meal, you go to the scriptorium. The scriptorium is the monastery's intellectual center. It is where manuscripts are copied and illuminated, where the great texts of Christian civilization are preserved and multiplied, where your labor has permanence beyond your own lifetime. It is an honor to work here. Abbots assign the best readers and most careful hands to this room. The scriptorium has no fire. It has never had a fire. Fire near parchment, near the oils in the illuminating palette, near the accumulated work of years. No. The cold comes through the stone walls and the unglazed windows, and it settles into the room like a 3rd occupant. Outside, it is snowing. It has been snowing since Terce. Your breath condenses in the air above your desk. You are copying Jerome's Vulgate. You have been working on this page since Terce, that is, for approximately 3 hours. Your right hand has stopped working properly, not from injury, from cold. The letters you produced in the first hour are regular and even. The letters from the last half hour lean at inconsistent angles, and you know the prior will see it at the next review. You are wearing what the house permits. Fingerless gloves, if the customary of your house allows them. Some don't. Your particular house does this year, because the prior had the experience of watching 2 monks develop partial frostbite in their writing hands the previous winter, and he preferred not to lose another scribe to preventable damage. 1 page per day. That is the output of a careful, competent monk on fair copy. Not a page of modern paper, a page of vellum, which is scraped calfskin, cut to a standard size, ruled with a stylus, written upon with a reed or quill cut fresh each morning. 1 page. The page you are holding took the animal several weeks to mature into. The page you are producing takes you 1 day to copy. You will not see a fire until vespers. Your lower back is now fully engaged with the cold, in the same place it was engaged during lauds in the dark. You have not thought about this coincidence yet. Here is what you have not been told about monks and their health, or perhaps what you have assumed, that the ascetic life, sparse diet, physical labor, constant prayer, must make for hardy, lean, long-lived men. You would be wrong. Archaeological analysis of skeletal remains from English monastic sites, including Whitefriars in Coventry and multiple Augustinian houses, shows that monks suffered disproportionately high rates of joint disease, obesity-linked skeletal changes, and a condition called diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis, which is dish disease, compared to the lay population around them. Not lower, higher. The sedentary pattern of the prayer schedule, 8 canonical hours, hours in the scriptorium, hours in chapter, combined with a diet richer than most peasants experienced, produced bodies under stress in ways no one in the 12th century had the framework to understand. You are not a peasant. You eat better than a peasant. You will also, if you live long enough, develop the skeletal signature of a man whose joints deteriorated faster than the men digging fields outside the precinct walls. 4 times a year, the infirmarian will come to you with a small blade. Bloodletting, phlebotomy, is a compulsory medical procedure at Benedictine houses. Not optional. Not for the sick. For every healthy monk, 4 times annually, as prescribed by the standard of care that the medieval medical tradition inherited from Galen, and that the Church has incorporated into the monastic schedule with the same regularity as the canonical hours. The infirmarian opens a vein in your left arm, collects the blood in a bowl, and binds the wound. After this, you go to the farmery, the infirmary, for 3 to 4 days. The farmery has a fire, always, because the sick and the bled need warmth, and the rule makes provision for the sick where it makes no provision for the healthy. The farmery also serves meat. You eat it. You eat it and you sit by the fire, and you are not required to attend the night office, which means that for 3 nights in a row, you sleep from compline to prime without interruption. Your lower back unknots. The cold in your hands recedes. You have been here for 2 years. You are already marking bleeding days in your head as the best days of the year, not the feast days, not Christmas, not the great solemnities of the liturgical calendar. Bleeding days, the days when the infirmarian's blade grants you, by the rule's own provisions, a fire and meat and unbroken sleep. Stop and consider what that means, not as a criticism of the monks or of the rule, as a statement of what the body registers when the environment it inhabits is consistently and thoroughly cold, consistently sleep-deprived, consistently demanding. It registers the absence of those demands as the highest pleasure available. The farmery is not a luxury. It is the restoration of the minimum conditions a human body requires to function without deterioration, and it comes 4 times a year. Let's return to the night. The 8 canonical hours divide the day and night with a precision that ensures no monk's sleep is unbroken by more than 4 hours at a stretch, and on most nights, by far less. Matins in winter falls at approximately 2 in the morning. Lauds follows immediately. Prime is at dawn, roughly 6. Terce at 9. Sext at noon. None in the early afternoon. Vespers in the early evening. Compline before bed. The gaps between these offices, that is, your actual opportunities for sleep, are not evenly distributed. You sleep from compline to matins, which is perhaps 4 hours if compline ends at 10, and matins rings at 2. You return from lauds to the dormitory at perhaps 4:30, and prime rings at 6. That is 90 minutes. Then you do not sleep again until after compline the following night. 4 hours and 90 minutes, interrupted, with a bell ringing in the darkness each time. You are 19 at profession. You will be 20 this year, and 25, and 30 if your health holds. Your body will do this every night until it stops being able to. The monks around you have been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years. The oldest monk in your community has been doing it for 32 years. You watch his face during the night office. It is completely calm. You do not know whether that calm is the product of genuine peace or of a human nervous system that has simply exhausted its capacity for protest. It is possible both are true. The bell is ringing again. You are back in the dormitory. It is past midnight. The belt is still on. The stone beneath the straw has not warmed since you lay down 4 hours ago. Your back is sore. Your hands still carry the cold from the scriptorium, even now. Around you, the other monks are rising in the dark, pulling on their sandals by feel. You know what is waiting. The choir, the cold flags, 1 hour of matins, lauds immediately after, the brief return to the dormitory for 90 minutes of broken sleep before prime, and then the day beginning again, the refectory's silence, the book of Job, the scriptorium without a fire, the 300 signs for everything you are not allowed to say. You are not a prisoner. The gate is 20 feet from where you signed. You could walk through it. You could have walked through it at any point in the last 12 months, before you made your vows. You could have walked through it at the moment of profession. Technically, if you were willing to live as an apostate under canon law, estranged from the sacraments, your family pressured to return you. You didn't. And neither did they, the men around you in the dark, lacing their sandals in silence, following the bell. They signed the same document. They made the same vow. Some of them were 12 or 14 when they arrived, oblates given by families who could not feed them, who never made a choice at all. They simply woke up one day and this was their life, and they kept waking up, and the bell kept ringing, and the cold was the cold. The question you came here asking, could you survive one day in a medieval monastery, is not the question the monastery is asking. The monastery is not asking whether you can survive a day. The monastery already knows you can survive a day. The monastery is asking whether you can survive the knowledge of every day after it. The certainty that the bell will ring tomorrow in the same cold, and the same dark, and the day after, and in a decade, and in 2 decades, and that the gatehouse arch will be 20 feet away every single morning, and that the ground you will eventually be buried in is the ground under your feet right now. That is the vow of stability, not a rule about geography. A reckoning with time. The bell is still ringing. Could you survive as a monk in a medieval monastery? The cold and the silence. Those you could adapt to, probably, with years of effort. The broken sleep degrades the mind and the body with a patience that outlasts most willpower. But it has been outlasted. The silence produces a kind of ache that is hard to describe to someone who has never been without speech for 11 days, but it has been borne. The permanence is something else. The men who lasted in these houses, and many did for decades, were not men for whom the permanence was easy. They were men for whom the alternative was, for one reason or another, foreclosed. Poverty, obligation, genuine vocation, fear of the apostate's judgment, the gradual calcification of a personality into a shape that the monastery, and only the monastery, perfectly fits. Some of them scratched their complaints into the margins of their manuscripts in Latin that the prior would recognize as insubordination. The cold is too much. My fingers are numb. God forgive me for wishing this page were finished. Those notes survived. The monks who wrote them, presumably, did not leave. They finished the page. The bell for matins is ringing. The third time tonight. Your belt is still on. You have 30 seconds. If you survived the monastery, find out if you'd last on the streets of London during the 1348 plague. It's linked right